Alright boys and girls, and welcome back to another building video. This time it's 4x4 o'clock again. Today I'm bringing the cheapest 4x4 that I can muster up. Perfect for 1 to 2 day snowballs or longer wipes with a lot smaller sized groups. I know anytime I play it's a variation of a 4x4 we're throwing down. I'm sure you guys are the same. This base has all the essentials whilst wrapped into a nice cost with a decent upkeep, and as most base names are named after TV shows, I've called this one the Trinity. If you can stab it a guess in the comments as to what show I just wrapped up watching. And while you're at it, if you want to smash the like button and drop me a little sub, that would be swell as well. Let's go ahead and crack on with the tour. Alright, let's get started with the tour of the cheapest 4x4 that I could come up with. Of course, we've got 4 external TCs, and those are going to be upkeeping our shooting floor and a little bit of the compound. They are your standard bunkered external TCs with a bit of disconnect on there too. And on the inside, it's of course a bunker, so throw down some extra loot if you'd like. Usually when I go offline, I throw a little bit of stuff in here if I don't expect them to get hit. It's definitely not a bad spot for some loot. And the furnaces just allow you to get in and out of there a little bit easier, assuming the terrain allows for it. As for the bunker mechanism, breaking the twig closes the bunker, and adding that back reopens the bunker. As for the disconnecting portion, we're going to build back from the gatehouse with some squares and add a roof. It'll disconnect the overlap of this TC to the main base and allow you to replace your main TC in case you want to move it, or if it's been broken in a raid defense that you've won. If you're new to building and you're looking to improve, my Discord is a wonderful place to be. We've got multiple great builders ready to help you out with any questions, a detailed settings panel with all the best settings, and if it's my building style that you like and you don't want your base layout to be visible on YouTube, you can open a ticket in the Discord and purchase yourself your very own custom base design. Check it out, and back to the tour. Now we can come inside the base from one of our 4 gatehouses, and coming inside the compound, we got our Patrico angles here, looking down and into compound. Very nice. Opening up, you can see we have an angle straight onto the gatehouse, and you get a little peek at some of our shooting floor angles too. Turrets above the gatehouses, of course, you don't need to place them all. This is just assuming that some of you may build this base on a non-vanilla server, so I've placed all the possible turret angles that there could be. Our compound is wrapped in 2 high walls to seal the gap, with a large furnace, of course, covering that gap too. So if they pick the high wall path, which most people will do, they're met with a large furnace, which is an additional 4 rockets, and it's going to beef up that raid cost a lot and add a bit of confusion for the raiders in an online raid scenario. Of course, you don't need all these furnaces if you don't have the low grade or you don't want to place them all. They're not necessary. You'll still have a nice sealed compound nevertheless. At the opposite end of our compound, where the gatehouses are, in between we do have bedrooms. So some more spots for beds here, and of course the gatehouses can fit beds too, if this is not enough, but it's just a standard bedroom here with a locker and a couple of beds and some retake angles into our compound. 4 of those and 4 gatehouses, with 2 entrances into the base. The other 2 sides of the base, 2-sided symmetrical, come with a breach peak here with some drop boxes in front. Coming on inside, you can see if we open up the door to our mobility chute, we've got a nice Patrico angle here, which is not easy to fire back at. Whilst base defenders inside will be crouching on some beds to hold this angle, so if anyone does try to door bang this base, they're not going to have a fun time. Even early game, you'll be able to use that angle to help defend, without the single door in the way, of course. Nice angle there for watching anyone to come through. As for our shell in the base, it's pretty standard. If the inner peaks are something that you don't like, you can swap those out with a different variant, but this is what I've been rocking recently, even in the chase box. I do rate these angles quite a bit. They seem to be pretty effective. On the opposite side of the gatehouse, we do have the Patrico angles here, which is super nice. You can add a deployable up here to cover your head if you're worried about that, plus a brutalist angle here, hoping these walls and furnaces break, and you got some good tight angles there. One-way entrance into the starter base, and the rest of the shell is symmetrical. Lots of space for deployables here, which is what I love about these 4x4s. Coming on into the starter base though, we'll give that a look now. Setting up with the stair bunker, I feel like it's the perfect way to have your 2x2 set up. Really glad I found this little bunker here, and it fits perfectly with no triangle honeycombing, which is just amazing. This is how we set up our starter though. Lots of boxes in the beginning, workbench, all the bags for the whole gang, and some drop boxes underneath too. Plus you get the retake on the jump up as well, which is just super clean and amazing for early game. As for the bunker tech, it's as simple as throwing down a twig triangle here with an armored staircase on top. Sometimes deployables in this region can mess with it, so you might need to pick those up, but we get a nice bunker, so it's definitely worth it. Now jumping up from our 2nd floor to 3rd, I like to make this all about the beds. So you got some rekits there with some beds in here. Opening up these doors do create an airlock out. This is good for early game defense. Before this shell is even built, I like to raise up to this height and play off of these angles. Exiting out onto the shell, you can see some of our inner peak downs now. Standard angles here and a little bit tighter on the right as well, but it does cover the entire shell nicely. And the great part about this is it's super stable. So if people are blowing in from the back, sounds a bit dodgy, but you are going to have your peaks up despite lots and lots of rockets hitting this base. If you're a keen builder, you've probably spotted this as well. That is a nice one-way retake from our mobility chute coming down all the way to the front door, and that's giving us a nice tight one-way angle to hold this area. So from here you can HV, you could bow, you can defend your base without being shot back from raiders. Super nice spot for a defender to sit, and of course the angle is just too tight to fire back at, and raiders who are running around this section are not even going to notice you're there, which makes this angle so good. We also get a nice little bit of early game defense with another retake into our shell on the opposite two sides of the mobility, with an angle out towards some higher up raid bases, and of course you can take some embrasures on here and just get a little look around the compound from these nice respawn angles, and of course you'll throw your kits in that barrel there. Overall, very nice indeed. The only way up from this area is now with the mobility chutes that take us all the way up and down the base, and the next level is our open core. I reckon you guys are going to like this one. Slightly different than the standard open core. First of all, coming underneath, we've got a spot for our vault core loot room. This is where you'll place the window from. You can't place it from above. Keep that in mind. Drop boxes under there. Repair bench, you need that in the open core. Everyone is reskinning. Opening up these doors is going to give us our main big loot room. So overall, we get the standard loot room here with a vault core in this section as well. Spots for beds and your workbenches are nearby too, which is super handy. Overall, really like this open core. The extra loot room's amazing, and everything in here is perfectly 2 walls from the outside, so you do have honeycombing on everything essential. Next, we can jump up, and we're once again getting a one-way angle into our shooting floor. Again, from here, you can HV, you can throw nades under this gap. It's going to catch anyone running across and at least give you a bit of info, even if the angle is too tight to take a kill. Above, there are more boxes. We have bed spots all the way along this area too, so everyone can respawn next to your main loot. A couple of retakes from above and a couple of retakes from below too. Super handy stuff overall. Then we airlock out to our shooting floor. It's a nice long door path to the open core, so you don't have to worry about that. And from here, we'll get a look at our shooting floor angles. So we have the standard freehands here on the corners. Nothing too crazy, because once again, we're going for a very cheap 4x4. If you guys are looking for something a bit larger, that is definitely on the channel, and I'd recommend checking out the Severance for a larger group build, the massive shooting floor and roof. Budget friendly snowballers are looking for a little easy 4x4 to throw down. This is certainly the one to take on. These peaks are amazing. They're anti-raid base. They allow you to focus down on compound without concerning yourself as to people that might be a little bit further out, or that L9 goat who sat behind an embrasure 100 meters away. Another Patrico angle here with a retake up onto the bed floor if there's anything going on there. Overall, very nice. Throw a little box here and you can crouch down, get some heavy pot here and play L9 if you need. But yeah, these angles just repeat all the way around the base, which is super nice. You can door these off as well, and they're perfect for throwing nades for anyone down in compound. You can really see some great angles from here, and this just closes up back towards the base too, which is super handy. 2 entrances out of here as well. We do have the retake as well, keep that in mind, so you'll know if anyone's running around in here, and we have 2 ways up to our roof. A couple of boxes underneath. Opening up this door is going to give us a one-way onto our roof as well, which is super handy. No one's going to even know you're playing off of this angle, so they won't know to be avoiding it, even if it is a little bit tighter. Next, we can exit out onto our roof and get an idea of what's all going on up here. 4 SAM sites that are covered from the outside, which is super handy, and some turrets here that are going to be hard to HV as well. I'm not sure what he's doing. Trying to get a video done right now, mate, if you don't mind. All right, we had to lose volume because this guy just won't go away, and end kill's just bugging out, so let's chill. Up on roof, we have the 2 exits, of course, with the retakes, plus 2 more retake bedrooms as well, which is super handy. Dropping down in here, of course, that's where the angle is in shooting floor. So we got our beds set up there pretty nice, and the retakes there are just perfect for watching up on roof. As for the roof angles, they're pretty basic, but again, we're going for as cheap as possible on this 4x4. So there's nothing too crazy up on roof, trying to cut the cost just a little bit. Standard roof angles at the top here. You'll mainly be playing out of shooting floor and compound. Hopefully boys and girls are impressed with this base, and you're going to build it on your cheap, easy, quick snowballs. Really nice to have a fully functioning 4x4 for this cost, so hopefully you're all impressed. Now I'm going to go ahead and break down the total build cost of this base. First of all, on screen is the total build cost. Stacking it up is that build cost in box amounts. And lastly is the total upkeep spread between 5 TCs, and the main TC is of course holding the majority of that upkeep. Now you boys and girls are ready to see how to build this one. So let's get started. Alright, we're going to start off with a 2x2, believe it or not, and our entrance is again from the second floor, so we'll wall the entire first floor in. Separate it off with a wall there. TC's going to go in the far right corner, leaving space for the stair bunker. Then we do a bit of a weird setup here for some extra boxes. You can throw down all the barrels in front of TC. Make sure you lock that tool cupboard. Got externals on the space, and we do not want to waste the opportunity they give. Wrap around this little single door airlock here. Very nice. Shelf on top for even more boxes. And wrap around to a jump up. Then we can have our entrance into the 2x2 on second floor right there. With a nice wraparound door path all the way to our starter. Great little retake there. We'll raise up to third floor now, and this is going to be our inner peaks level. Technically, it'll be your shooting floor though. Once you get those double doors swinging out the way, we're going to have a nice little angle to play off of. Do a bit of roof camping from here, and that'll do for now. Well, it's early days. Very nice. Now we are on two sides symmetrical for the shell and compound and such. We're going to build out the entire 4x4 here, and we're going to head to the corners for everybody's favorite job, freehanding. I'd like to do these as early on as we can. Make sure you've got a crosshair on. Line it up where mine is, then pick that mouse off of the desk mat. Once you've lined it up, just remove that bad boy. We do not want to move it at all. Once you got it in place, don't move it. Make sure you back up just enough to get these foundations down, and ensure that everything is blue once we place these foundations in. If you've got any red frames on there, it's time to stop and go again. Something has gone wrong. You need to hit the reset button and give it another go. Freehandings can be tough though, so if you need to come in the Discord and ask for extra help, feel free. Somebody will be there, ready to help you ASAP if I'm not about. But from there, we go into gatehouse, then into external. And of course, if you don't want to freehand on here, you've had enough freehanding, you can just do a standard disconnectable TC with a double half wall instead on the front side, opposed to this freehand bunker here. But I'd recommend learning this freehand bunker. It's saved me many a times. Very handy for the lack of metal frags early on into wipe, allowing you to make a 2C4 external TC without a single metal frag. Very nice indeed. Sealed up the frame, making sure you place the frame in the correct socket so that the bunker remains open with the twig there. Very nice. And that is 2 out of 4 done. We're going to repeat the process one more time, just so you guys can see how it looks. So we do need to build in twig here. Line up the crosshair. Pick the mouse up. Do not put it down again until we're done. Back up a little bit. Double check everything's blue on the frames. And then you are good to go. It's not a super exact freehand on this base, so there's a bit of wiggle room, even if you're on dodgy terrain or you're just not the best freehander. You'll get away with it on this one. It's not going to be too stressful, and that's exactly what we're aiming for on this simple, cheap, no-ball 4x4. Into freehand, into gatehouse, into external. You guys have seen it already. Be with you when you're all caught up. Alright, 4 freehands are done and dusted, but there are actually 6 points of contact in this compound. So we're going to build back off the main shell again. We're on 2-sided symmetry still. Wrapping in the triangles, some for shooting floor, some for mobility shoot, and some for breach peak. Then we can build out for our bedroom here with a triangle to cap it off, and that's where the high walls are going to meet up. Create your Patrico section here, again with a spot for a turret on there too. And we can do the exact same thing over here as well. can also finish off the gatehouses on here, just matching pretty much what we did on the bedrooms as well, giving us lots of angles into compound and lots of turret spots too above. Then from there, it's a 2 high wall seal per gap. Once we finished off that compound, I'm rushing ahead, far too excited. Now we can go ahead and throw those 2 high walls down with minimum barricades for this compound. Very nice. Don't need to store too many metal blades. Little tip for the high walls, if you hold shift, it makes life a little bit easier and you can exactly place the high walls how you like. And then if you've got a few large furnaces lying around, you can plug every single gap with a large furnace too. And there we go, compound complete. Barricades are so simple, they don't even need to be shown. Now let's move on back to the main base now. This is going to be our airlock / mobility chute. We do extend the airlock here on the first floor for a elongated door path. We can wrap all the way over to this window side where we'll make a Patrico with our jump up in front, wrapping doors all the way through. These 2 triangles over here, we don't use them for anything. Bit of honeycombing on the first floor. And of course, we're 2-sided symmetrical right now, so anything that happens there needs to happen over on the opposite side too. Now it is breach peak time, so we're raising up with half walls, windows on top, sealing it up and adding in some roofs. Ideally, you want to use DLC roofs if we can. Of course, console players, you can't. You'll get there someday, I'm sure. But for now, you're stuck with the standard roof ramps. Embrasures go on. Ideally, we're making it brutalist, so we can have an embrasure in the middle too. But of course, I understand if you don't have access to that, it's not necessary. Around the front of the brutalist peak here, we've got a spot for some drop boxes in the compound, but we're raising up this half-height offset for a bedroom later on, is the main purpose. Now we can raise up the rest of our shell. Don't forget, half-height window there. It's going to be great for our retake. Above the breach peak, you can rematch the height of the base, and then just seal that in. And case this area in with a single door ready for that drop down bedroom. It's going to be a double door there where our mobility chute meets up to this level. Talking about mobility chutes, we can build that now. Again, a half wall window. It's going to give us the one way into the inner peak floor. And we can continue the mobility chute up to OPENCORE level, so we're not going to be sealing that off. You don't need to do the double window this time. Now, over on this side, we've got a retake for the shell that leads through to the drop-down bedroom. And we keep talking about inner peaks, so let's throw those down now. For those of you who avidly build 4x4s, you could swap out my inners for other ones. These are just the ones that I'm currently rocking and seem to enjoy the most. But if you guys prefer something else, of course, give that a stab instead. This is just what's working for me right now, and I like the angles it gives. Some are tight, and some are a little bit more open, but overall the coverage is very good. But that should seal up nice. You can get some doors on this level too. Love a half wall in the shell, perfect for a little bit of head glitching. When the walls open up in shell, you can utilize the half wall, play off of it a little bit. And up on this level, get some doors down too, why not? Segment the area off. And we'll need that drop-down bedroom now as well, that watches into our compound. It gives us a good respawn advantage to retake the inner peak down floor. Above the inner floor is the OPENCORE. We're still on two-sided symmetry now, so everything that's happening here needs to happen on the opposite side. Don't forget that half-wall window, that's going to be a retake for shooting floor later on, so keep that in mind. We wrap the doors along. In front of this little peak is a vault core loot room, and nobody can access that through the window, so don't worry about that. The corner squares of the 4x4 are completely sealed in. They're pure honeycombing to ensure a two-wall raid cost from all angles to the OPENCORE, and more honeycombing around the back of the mega loot rooms. And we're half walling off this entire area, leaving space for the vault core there. We're going to float some triangles through the back here for the mega loot room. You can raise frames in front, get a couple of garage doors on there, and we'll honeycomb the ceiling of the loot rooms as well. Exit above the window, window above the entrance. Honeycomb the ceiling again. And more box space above these areas. Another shelf in the mega loot room. Very nice. Lots of box space in here. We get a bedroom off to the right. That's our retake there, and I'll show you how to place the embrasure in just a moment. Just in case you guys have found that it's hard to do. There is a method, there's a technique, don't worry. Dropping down inside where you would replace the window for the vault core, you can also place the embrasure for the shooting floor retake from here. That's where both your windows are placed from. If you want to seal up that loot room, you can from there. Next, we've got a lot of frames to throw up, and that's going to take a minute on vanilla, but I'm going to fly. I know it's painful, I do it too. It's the most annoying part. Utilize the spiral staircase to get you up and down. That's the best method. Just make sure to break it once you're done. Get all these frames raised up. And the freehands. Now it's time for the shooting floor. Shooting floor is super basic along with the roof. So keep that in mind. Once you've gotten to this level, you don't need too much more materials to finish things off. Standard windows up here, I'd recommend throwing glass on them, meaning the fact they are quite boring angles. Pretty 50-50. So it's not going to be something you're using too often. Best off with a bit of glass on there. Add in your frames for the triangle peaks here. The double roof. Anti-raid base angles. Trico in the middle with the floor to separate that. And on this side it's the same angles, but this time with a roof jump up in the center. These can be weird to place, just do a bit of jumping, a bit of spinning. Spam left click, even though it's blue, it's not going to place. That's just all part of the fun. And then of course that roof jump up in the middle, leading up onto our roof. These can be weird to place, it's purely because of the metal roof. You make that any other grade and it won't have any issues. Over on this side, opposite of the roof exit, we have a drop-down bedroom. You can seal that up with a turret spot above. Beautiful. Get a windmill on there too. Same on this side. Seal up the roof exit and throw a turret above. On the corners of the build, we're going to add in a little bit of half height here. Then just with some standard roof ramps on top. And that's going to allow us to conceal a SAM site. We're keeping it super basic up here. We've ran out of material cost. We're trying to keep it cheap. Let's extend the roof exit and the drop-down bedroom area out to give us a retake on the roof. Just a standard trickle will work fine up here, and that's going to give us a fine angle to retake from. You can set that up and do the exact same thing over here too. And we'll finish it off with some square roof ramps here. Again, giving that SAM site a little bit of coverage. Lastly, a couple of roofs in here, purely for style points. Just makes sense in my head. You don't need to come out here and do this if you don't want to. And then once you've done that, that completes the base design. Hopefully you boys and girls have enjoyed this video. If you did, then please feel free to leave me a like and drop me a comment down below. Remember to check out the Discord if you need any help or if you want to cop a custom, and I'll see you boys and girls in the next video. In a bit.